Now we're going to be talking about EA. Electronic Arts, everybody's favorite company. Correct me if I'm wrong, I believe they were named America's favorite game development company. Or game publishing company,
I think that's right,
Yeah, I think so. So the day of recording this, we actually got some news regarding Motive and Visceral Star Wars games. Jade Raymond was interviewed, and she said that the game is well on its way. Basically didn't say anything else. Also, they gave details on Visceral's game with Amy Hennig, that it's a few years away, even though it's already been in development for 3+ years. And that Amy Hennig is working really closely with Lucas on making this game a solid Star Wars experience. That's pretty exciting. Before we move on, these Star Wars games, what do you guys expect? Do you think we'll get a title for the Motive game? I doubt we'll get anything from the Visceral game if it's still a few years away. What do you guys think about these Star Wars games?
The Motive game, they just opened that studio at the beginning of this year, I think. So that's even farther off than the Visceral game, if you ask me. That Visceral game, man, it's cool. I'm excited about it. I'm sure it's going to be at least a good game, but I am almost starting to get a little worried about it, that it's been so long now that they've been, working on this and talking about it, and it hasn't necessarily been, announced, or they haven't put a title to it, but, I mean, something, man. We should have seen something by now, I feel like. And not only that, but Visceral, I guess, correct me if I'm wrong, but Visceral's last game is Dead Space 3. Which was 2012, I think, or maybe 13. But yeah, if it's only kind of halfway there, then what is it going to take them from 2013 until 17 or 18 to get this game out? That's a long time.
I'm kind of opposite of you in the sense of I'm okay with them not announcing anything if they're not comfortable yet. The last thing we want, as we were talking about earlier, is Watch Dogs, and then seeing it every year E3 for the end of time. Even having a title sucks. I want to know a game is coming out soon. And I think a lot of this has to do with the Bethesda thing. I think Bethesda really made a game changer when they had Fallout and then it came out that year. I think a lot of people are EA is well, they have a title in the works. I highly doubt if they don't. And they could say the title, but then what does that give them? People are okay, now we have a title for a game that we're still not going to have for a couple of years, So, I'm okay with them holding back on that. I don't know. I hope we don't get we're gonna get oversaturated with Star Wars games. We're probably gonna get a Battlefront 2 or something, right? I assume eventually in the next couple of years or so. You have anything to say, Dom? You're a pretty big Star Wars fan. What do you think of these two Star Wars games?
Please pour all this oversaturation right on me. I don't care. I want it all. Amy Hennig, who played a huge role in making the first 3 Uncharted games, which I love all those games. Leading a game about Star Wars, one of my favorite franchises probably out of anything. So whatever they need, take their time. My faith is in her.
Yeah, she's proven.
A correction. Visceral Games came out with Battlefield Hardline last year, which I thought was Sledgehammer.
Yeah, okay.
I thought it was their spin-off studio Sledgehammer, but I was wrong. That was Visceral.
Okay. What else? So cover the Star Wars games there. Battlefield 1. It's probably going to be a huge presence, obviously, at EA. Probably going to give a lot more information. For me personally, I want to see gameplay. I would probably never buy a Battlefield game for the multiplayer. I enjoy it. I think it's cool, but Battlefield always tells interesting stories, and the fact that they're able to convince them to, EA to make a World War I game. I just want to see gameplay. I want to see what it looks like. I want to see what's going on. I want to see how they treat World War I, What do you guys think? What are we going to see for Battlefield 1?
I want to say I love the fact that one of the EA executives, I can't remember exactly who, came out saying, we originally rejected the World War I idea.
Because they thought kids wouldn't know what World War I was.
Just like I did, and just like most people did when they first heard about it, right? So I appreciate that, people were able to, within that studio were able to convince them otherwise. This is worth trying. We should go here and do this. I know you can't see it, but just trust us. We have a vision. I think that's really cool that that's how that played out. As far as what we're going to see at EA Play or whatever they're calling it again, probably a whole shit ton of this game is going to be all over that. So
yeah, I think also the fact that with them believing in their developers has to do with this whole hated EA thing, and now they're trying to be for the gamers. I think the developers were it might not make sense because people didn't really want World War II games and stuff like that, but we're coming at a point now where we can go one of two directions. We can make a quote-unquote advanced warfare-esque game where it's future tech, or we can go the opposite other direction and we can give somebody something else. it will be refreshing. It will be something different, and that'll stand out on the market, you know. And I think that was one of the big things. Is like there's going to be all these like future tech shooters. We're going to have a World War I experience, and I think that it's awesome, you know. For one of the comments he said was like, "I'm not sure kids know what World War I is." Well, then let them play this goddamn game then. If they don't know what it is, let them play Battlefield 1,
Yeah, first of all, they should know.
Yeah.
And if they don't, take this opportunity to introduce it to them.
Maybe put some money into the American education system or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
So Mass Effect Andromeda, I hope has a big presence at E3, which I don't think so. I'm agreeing with you. I think it's going to be Battlefield and Titanfall 2, which we'll talk about after this.
We're getting gameplay, man. We're getting Mass Effect gameplay for sure.
I also want one of those really cool teasers where it's like they show the character talking to somebody, but you don't really see the exact conversation happening, you know? I think that would be cool, and maybe like landscapes and stuff. I definitely want actual gameplay, though, too. I definitely want combat, and I also think it would be really smart of them to inject little teasers as to it going back to its RPG elements of, like, the dialogue trees and stuff like that. Also, showing the Mako actually being a nice, drivable vehicle will be sweet, instead of a pile of doo-doo. I just want anything. Do you guys think this will see quite a bit of Mass Effect Andromeda? Do you think they're going to hold out till Gamescom, considering the game was delayed to early next year, to show off a lot of it? What do you guys? What's the route they're going with Andromeda?
No, I think you're going to get quite a bit, just because it's time. You know, it was unveiled. Technically, it was unveiled like 2 years ago when they said, "Hey, here's this, you know, behind the scenes dev video where we talk about Mass Effect 4 without calling it Mass Effect Andromeda."
Yep.
So technically it's been revealed for a while, but then, you know, we had that CG trailer last E3. And then since then we've had just a tiny little leak of a little bit of gameplay that honestly could have been like 2 years old. So I think they need to show gameplay from that game because we really don't know a whole lot about it, you know?
Yeah. What about you, Dom? What do you think about Andromeda?
Yeah, we should see a little something at least. They're not going to, give a hard release date or anything this far out, but, we're still working on this. We're confident it will be out, next spring, and you're going to have a good old fun time in space.
Well, speaking of that, last year at their E3 conference, they said, all the games you're about to see today are coming out this year or next year. And then, of course, they delay Mass Effect to 2017.
Yeah.
So.
Is there anything you specifically want to see, Dom? You've played the Mass Effect series. Is there anything specifically you want to see? Anything you want to see different, like they improved on or changed?
I don't know. I mean, I kind of like those games a lot. I can't...
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not a developer. I don't have any real good ideas of what they can improve.
A rumor is that there's going to be a lot of new aliens. Obviously, it's a different galaxy. Do you want to see Krogans and all the familiar races as well?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And then some newer races would be really cool.
In that leak, there was I know there was at least a Krogan, maybe a couple other alien species.
Oh yeah, in the jetpack video, right? The alpha test.
Yep.
I forgot about.
Yeah,
that.
they were talking to a Krogan, so I definitely think we'll see the stuff from the original trilogy plus other stuff.
Yeah. Titanfall 2, Respawn's new game. The weird thing is I've seen a lot of people talking about this game saying, I hope it's not multiplayer only. They confirmed like 3 months ago that it's going to have a single player campaign. And people, I guess, forgot about that. They said it's going to be essentially Civil War in space, not Marvel Civil War, but like the actual Civil War, which I think is a cool concept. Obviously, it's a very like dumbed down way to put it, but the gameplay is really solid. Did either of you play Titanfall?
Nope.
Not a
It was an
second of
Xbox exclusive and it was multiplayer only, so it's 100% out of your guys' thought.
No, it came to PC, I believe, right?
Console exclusive. Sorry.
Yeah.
So the gameplay is really solid. The shooting mechanics are really good. You'd probably like the shooting mechanics in the game. Both of you, actually. I know, Jordan, you're a big fan of solid shooting mechanics. So any game not made by Naughty Dog. I'm just kidding. The gameplay is really solid. Multiplayer was fun, but if it had a single player campaign, I would have much appreciated that more than the multiplayer. The multiplayer got drowned out really quick. I think if the single player campaign looks really cool, I think it'll get a lot more people invested. The fact that it's not console exclusive means that a lot of PlayStation owners, and there is a lot of them, might get invested in this franchise because it is something cool. I like the idea of the mechs. And it's just a cool game. I'm excited to see where the campaign is and all that goody stuff. And the next thing, I doubt you guys have anything to say about Titanfall 2, right? Consider you guys didn't play the first one.
That one's probably not one I'm going to pick up anytime around launch, but I'd say if it gets good enough reviews and the campaign looks cool enough, I do love sci-fi. I love me some space stuff. And I mean, who doesn't love a giant robot with a sword in its hand? So I can see myself playing a campaign and maybe even dabbling with the multiplayer when it's, $40 down the road or whatever.
Yep.
Yeah, same for me. If the campaign's more than just a 5 hour tacked on, battlefield type campaign, then it might be worth picking up later on.
Yeah, and Respawn are the Infinity Ward guys, and they're responsible for Call of Duty Modern Warfare, which had one of the coolest stories in a shooting game I've played. I really enjoyed COD 4's story. It was really cool. So they have done single-player campaigns for shooters that people liked, so they do have a pedigree there, which is awesome. The next thing on the list, Ghost Games. They're the guys responsible for the Need for Speed reboot, which came out 2 years ago. Do you think we'll see the sequel to Need for Speed?
No, because that is a, every other year franchise. It's not annualized. So that is something we'll probably see next E3, and then it gets released next fall.
You don't think we'll see something and then it's 2018, 2017 release date?
No, I think they've got plenty of other stuff to show just because they have so many other games, and that game is, like I said, Need for Speed comes out every other year and has been for the last 4 or 5 years now. So I'd say it's a safe bet. You're going to get that game, and they'll just show it when it's closer to release.
Do you guys even play racing games? Are you guys interested in Need for Speed? Yeah.
Actually, yeah, shout out to Ghost Games, because those guys are a spin-off of Criterion. After they did Need for Speed Most Wanted in, I think, 2012, Criterion did that. And then they spun off to Ghost and made Need for Speed Rivals and now Need for Speed. So what they've been doing is kind of since they are Criterion guys, they're kind of making a Burnout Need for Speed game because of the fact that Burnout's been abandoned.
Yeah.
So, I love Most Wanted. I play that a bunch on Vita. And then Need for Speed Rivals and just straight up Need for Speed are two of my favorite PS4 games. So
Really? I mean, racing games that aren't called Jack X Combat Battle Star
Racing Nebula.
Yeah, man, I'm telling you, I'm a huge Burnout fan, and just the fact that EA, I mean, it was probably a smart idea to not have competing racing series under one publisher, since EA owns both. But I do kind of wish, even though Need for Speed is more popular, I wish we were still getting Burnout games. But like I said, they're making as close to a Burnout game as you can while it's still called Need for Speed. So I do love those games.
And I do appreciate the Burnout games. I'm not a racing fan. I really don't like them. The last racing game I liked was Split Second on the PS3, I think is where I played it.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Yeah.
But I don't like racing games. They're not fun to me. But Burnout makes it really fun because you got to destroy a bunch of stuff, and that's always fun.
Yeah, I really don't play simulation racing.
Yeah.
I never play a Gran Turismo or Drive Club. Who the hell would ever play that? But
What's
it's
what's that
if
Xbox
I'm gonna
game
do
called that Xbox racing sim.
Forza.
Forza. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't play Forza either, but
The Fast and
that's
Furious
also not on my list.
side spin thing that they gave away for free was really cool. I thought it was
That is
interesting.
cool, yeah. Yeah, but if I'm gonna do simulation, I'd rather just drive my own real car in real life.
Real simulation.
If I'm gonna play a racing game, I want to be doing crazy stuff and crazy burnout crashes.
I want a VR game where I just go to the store and drive for groceries. So the next thing I have on the list
It's called picking up milk.
yeah. Next thing I have on the list is all of the sports games from EA. We don't really need to get into. Obviously, they're going to have Madden there. They're going to have NBA Live isn't coming out this year, so I doubt they'll show anything. Next up, the Criterion game, the extreme action game with the jumping and the ATVs and.
That should just be a burnout game. Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Do you think we'll see anything of that? A name, if anything?
Um,
Does it still exist?
Like I mentioned before the podcast, they showed that game so, I'm trying to think of a game. Obviously, Last Guardian would be a great example of a game that was shown and talked about way, way, way too early. But, man, this Criterion game, when they showed this a couple years ago, that was just stupid because it wasn't even, close to looking like a video game. I mean, it looked like a PC game from, Windows 95 or something. I don't know what they were thinking, but hopefully it's actually in a decent state where it actually looks like a next-gen video game at this point, and they could give us a title, maybe not release date, but show some gameplay or something. I Like I said, I love Criterion and Ghost, and I definitely want to be playing their games.
I know it looked like Star Fox Zero.
Yeah, exactly. It was just, I don't know what the hell they were thinking with that.
Do you have anything to say about Criterion's new game, Dom? Does it interest you at all? You want to?
Not a whisper, no.
That'd be cool if it was it's not going to be a free running game. That'd be cool. That game's weird. I want to see what exactly it is, because if it's just like do crazy stuff, I don't know if a lot of people are going to be into it. Maybe they will.
Reminds me of the old ATV Off-Road Fury MX versus ATV games.
Is Skate EA property?
Skate? Yes.
That'd be cool to see a new Skate game, considering Tony Hawk
Hey,
failed.
that is a good pick there, Jared, because, man, where is Skate, dude? Like, what have you guys been doing?
Yeah.
We should totally have a Skate game on PS4 and Xbox right now.
Yeah, I think that'd be a cool idea. Something you brought up before the show, Jordan. Casey Hudson left to BioWare Austin, and you have an idea, or at least a dream or a hope.
Yeah, I'll say that for my predictions,
Okay.
but I will say, yeah, you hit the nail on the head. Casey Hudson, who was, I guess, either game director or creative director for the original Mass Effect trilogy, left BioWare Montreal and is now at BioWare Austin. So BioWare Austin is the studio that does the Old Republic, the Star Wars MMO. So we'll talk about it later, but you can kind of see where that's going just by those facts.
You have any ideas of anything that we left out? Would you enjoy a skate game, Dom? I doubt maybe you're not even into the skate games, right? No, not at all.
No.
I didn't like skateboarding games either, and I thought Skate was cool. I thought it was really cool.
I love skating games, and we need a Skate. Like, seriously, that's a great point you make, because I mean, they weren't like setting the world on fire on last gen, but I definitely think they made enough money off Skate to do a sequel.
Especially with Tony Hawk setting its own franchise on fire. So
it's theirs for the taking.
Yeah. So I think we covered everything for EA. Thank you guys for listening to our talk about that conference.
What's up, everybody? Thanks for checking out the Controlled Interest Gamecast. If you want to stay up to date, remember to subscribe on YouTube and iTunes, and give us a follow on SoundCloud and on Twitter at CTRLINT. #SmashTheDunst.